Hi, everybody. It's Allison here. Welcome to our Facebook Live on Valentine's Day. And I really wanted to do this on Valentine's Day for a couple of reasons. I know that Valentine's Day is the day of love, and sometimes we put some pressure around that all. And sometimes for other people, Valentine's Day isn't a so happy day. So think of this as your opportunity in this healing session to address from whatever angle you would like to heal. Okay, you're hearing a little bit of doggy barking in the background. So let me just briefly, before we get into any of that jazz, give you the lowdown on me. I know there's a lot of familiar faces on the call, and some of you might be brand new to me. Okay? So my name's Allison Bachmeyer, and I operate a thriving energy-based medicine clinic. I work with people primarily in person and by distance. The distance outweighs the in-person currently. I get more work that way by far. I'd say 90% or so of my work is that. I also actively teach healing sessions with Body Talk and my own work, Reveal and Release. I also run a website which has online workshops galore on it. There's in fact over 40 of them. And people were having so much trouble choosing which one to buy sometimes that I actually opened up a brand new offering. You guys should check it out. I think the link is actually right at the top here of the page. And the link here is to the brand new subscription. So that way you can have unlimited access to everything on the entire site, which is pretty darn massive. And that will be a option for you. You can go click on the link to explore how you want to do it, either monthly, annual, or there's even a really sexy lifetime access pass there too. So by all means, check it out. Shoot me any questions that you have, perhaps even during live. I'm happy to answer them all. I'm seeing a few more people joining, so hi everybody, thank you so much for joining. Hi Amy, hi Carissa, hi Jordan, hi Krista, hi Elaine. I would love to know where everybody's from. I think I know actually most of y'all where you live, but there's a few more people coming on too. So give me a little hello, let me know where you're from, and I'll do my best to manage the dog barking by threatening their lives underneath the radar of the table where I'm not recording. So please forgive any background noises. We just got home from a walk and they're pretty excited. Yeah, so they'll settle down in just another minute or so. Hi Jason, welcome. All right gang, so we're gonna get into the session in just another moment or two. I just wanted to share real quickly with y'all, this is such a personal event for me to share every year, and some of you already have that email, and if you don't, you can check it out on Facebook. All the details are there too on my personal page. The email has been posted there for my Vibrant Transformation annual celebration sale. So what am I celebrating, and what is that really all about? In part, yes, the obvious thing is I'm celebrating being in business for now 16 plus years doing this work and loving every step of it. Now, what many people don't know, and I've never actually ever shared this before, and I have shared the actual event, but just not how it links into this sale before. Hi, Carmen. And the big news here is that every year I actually on Valentine's Day, in and around that day, have a sale that usually operates for about a week or so. And that is in memoriam. It's actually an event that I use to reconnect to the loss of my miscarriage from several years ago. And this actually was an event that was extremely difficult at the time to work through. And I'm very passionate about supporting other women that have gone through miscarriages and their partners as well, because often dads get the short end of the stick when it comes to healing these sorts of things. Now, don't worry, this is not something I'm sharing that's an active memory that's currently a charged event for me. I've done my work and I've used these tools that I offer on my website primarily as a means of healing. Oh, there's a bunch of new faces. Hi, Jenna. Hi, Bill. Hi, Courtney. Hi, Charmaine. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. And so, as I was saying, this loss of this little one who had only been in my awareness for 6 days consciously, but about several weeks, 7 weeks or so, unconsciously. I could sense her presence. I just didn't know what was going on entirely. Then I figured out that that feeling was that of pregnancy. Then 6 days later, there was a miscarriage, likely connected to some other stressful events as I was chewing on some cancer stuff at the time as well. Anywho, I've already written an article all about that. It's on the website. You can check out all the details about that all. But what's interesting is they didn't ever expect that little one to be there or to have made it as far as she did due to some other health things that have been going on. And they thought of her as kind of like this miracle baby. Now, her due date was supposed to be Valentine's Day. So every year I celebrate Valentine's Day from a very different perspective. I love that I got to have that experience, short-lived as it may have been. And I'm truly in love with life as it is right now on the other side of all of that. So the healing work has been done. Children aren't in the future anymore. The ship has sailed. I get that question all the time. So I'll let you know up front right now. And the other angle to this all is that because of her loss, I actually dove into creating these types of seminars to have accessible on-demand healing work available at your fingertips, because I know I sure needed something in that moment. And well, if you've ever been in a crisis mode where you're like, man, I need some help like now, then you know what that means to you to be able to access that help right away. I'm lucky working in the field that I do. I have a lot of close connections that also do similar type of work. And I'm able to draw on those connections to get last minute resources and help when required, typically speaking. Not always, because life happens as it does. And I know that the benefit for other people that I've helped along the way too, and the impact that it could have, having access right away to the support that they need to take that pressure off of their nervous system to help support their processing of their lives. So this is why I've created the website that I have, vibranttransformation.com. Check it out. And it's also the inspiration that I had behind creating everything under the sun, which gives you accessible, on-demand, lifetime access to it as long as you are a subscriber to the product Everything Underneath the Sun. It'll give you access to all the 40 plus online workshops that I've created over the past 15 years doing this work. And as far as I know, I am the first, if not one of the first, I should say that just to cover my bases, and doing work in this style. So doing online work in a group format, doing it on a subscription basis. And I actually launched a subscription last May called Buddhas and Butterflies, and that's also on the site if you want to check it out. It's not available as a part of Everything Underneath the Sun. It's a separate subscription, and it'll be opening up in a few months. You can check that all out. If you're a healthcare practitioner, you're going to get a lot of benefit from it. And I know that we've gotten great results. I get great sort of feedback all the time. And you can also check out on the Instagram page. I have a few saved testimonials there, and I'll be adding to those continuously as we go. All right, gang. Without further ado, I'd really like to get into our work today. I promised you a group healing session on love and loss. I can think of no better day to do it than on Valentine's Day. So loss can extend to a number of things. And I was just reflecting on just what we had gone through in our own family last year alone. Last year alone, our family suffered a few losses of close relatives. I lost my buddy, my dog, my first dog, who I also regard as my teacher in spiritual work. In fact, he's my only real teacher. Everything else has to pass through his say-so to make sure it's legit, basically, for me to continue to follow. So he's my compass, my radar in a way. And although I've lost him in physical form, we still chat up above. So it's just a different loss of having him in the form that he was last year. And there's been losses all sorts of kinds across the board that don't involve living beings. So maybe you can relate to some of those types of losses, whether it was a living being, your dog, your cat, your horse, your favorite gerbil, whatever it may have been, or another living human that you lost. Perhaps it was a breakup of a relationship, or perhaps it was a loss of a job. Perhaps you lost your health. Perhaps you lost something else that was really important to you. we can lose all sorts of things. And unless we adequately take the time that we need to grieve those, and our society doesn't always support that, especially when we're talking about the loss of an animal or the loss of other things. People think, oh, well, you know, just take a few days off, you'll get over it, you'll be back and right as rain. Then that doesn't actually do anything but dismiss those emotional charges. And we end up repressing and suppressing and hanging on to things. Oh, hi, I see a whole bunch of new names. Thanks everybody for joining. Hi, I don't know if I'll catch everybody, but hi, Kyla. Hi, Kyle. Hi, Luciano. Hi, Chelsea. So good to see you, love. Hi, Natasha and Abram. Hello. Thank you for joining. Okay, gang. So on this topic of love and loss, I think no better day to also acknowledge and love all those things that I have lost, because they are making space for the new, for me to step into, and for me to move forward into whatever is serving me best. And I know that my life delivers up all sorts of roller coaster rides that are always in support of self. And within that, embracing that, there is a certain amount of peace, of joy, of happiness. So today we're going to be exploring just that. Now brace yourselves. The mailman has decided to come at this exact moment. And never fails. I go live, dogs are crazy. And he's still there. We're just gonna give that 30 seconds to pass. And boy, oh boy, that mailman is sure taking his time. He's just not leaving. Murphy's Law. All right, loves. We're trying to get into this without further ado, I think. Anywho. So beginning here by means of breathing. Enough. Beginning here by means of breathing. Giving yourself a few slow deep inhales and exhales. Using every breath as an opportunity to release and let go. It never fails. As soon as we start the session, things quiet down. And begin to feel yourself sink even deeper into that cushion below you. Okay, so know that I'll primarily be using body talk as my basis for the session today. I don't leave out any of my tools, so you'll see appearances of other things here and there, and I'll point them out as we're working. Okay. So if you do have something in particular that you've lost, if you do in particular have something that you'd like to call in this area of love, I invite you just to take a moment to be mindful of that. If it's something that you're open to sharing on the Facebook feed, I invite you to do that as well. There's something about declaring it. There's something about writing it down. We've all heard, write your goals down to make them manifest with greater ease. There's a reason for that. So I invite you to share if it feels right. If it feels like it's just too personal, you can share in more vague terms without being specific. Okay. And as you're focusing on that energy, know that that's what we're addressing in this session for you today. I've been doing group healing work for well over a decade, and I have tested this out in many different forms. I have worked with it across all sorts of time spans, and invariably I seem to get the same results, that everybody tends to say, I thought that session was just for me, even though it went out to 100+ people. So there is access to the same amount of healing, whether you're listening to it live or this is pre-recorded. So if you're catching the recorded version of it later, know that you still have the exact same opportunity to take advantage of the healing work that's here and now for you all. Okay, the very first thing that's coming up to do, and this is so common that we have a pet name for it in Body Talk, we call it brain drain. It's lymphatic circulation from and within your entire nervous system. So that it's also including your head brain, your heart brain, your gut brain. In case you didn't know, you have 3 brains in your body mind. And as we run with this, know it's also including the cerebrospinal fluid. That cerebrospinal fluid is much like the lymph system and the rest of the body, but it works very strongly for the spinal column and the head brain. Okay? So as we're running this, we are clearing out any sort of toxins, gunk, waste, low self-esteem, overthinking, overanalyzing. Give that a nice slow deep breath, and we have to do that before we can do anything else. We're going to tap that in. Whenever we tap in Body Talk, we tap over those 3 brains that I mentioned earlier. Okay, you don't need to tap. I'm going to take care of it on this end, but you are welcome to join me. If you're joining me, we're tapping over the head brain, the gut brain right around the navel, and the heart brain. Okay. Give that another nice slow deep breath. Okay. Now lymph moves on the basis of water. So if you haven't already, grab a sip of water, or do so as soon as you can after this work is done. Okay. I always invite people to hydrate as we are working together, so don't be shy. You're welcome to grab a sip of water. You're not interrupting anything. Next up, we're going to be heading back to that nervous system, and obviously, no surprise here, or the next thing that's coming up as a priority is to work with hydration, helping those cells of the nervous system specifically that work with communication all day long. And we know how frustrating communication can be just between you and another person sometimes. So imagine your nervous system having to communicate all day long with all the different players in your body mind, not getting responses to emails, getting shut down, saying, no, that went to junk mail, voicemails not getting returned, misunderstandings happening. All that stress adds up in your nervous system. Hydration helps those cells to absorb the necessary water to help go with the flow. And in doing so, it helps you to connect to your inner joy. The additional benefit that hydration provides is that it helps to release any impurities. So it's a form of detoxification. Although the most important detoxification happens by means of breathing. 70% of your body-mind's detoxification happens simply by breathing. We think it happens at the gym because we're working out and you're breathing faster for sure. And we think it happens with diet, and that's true, but that's only like 30% diet and exercise. Anywho's, before I get off track, know that as we're running this hydration throughout your entire nervous system, we're also cleaning out any excess fear. And sometimes our nervous system oddly has this fear of, unless I continually hang on to my grievances, my loss, or the things that are getting away in me accessing love, unless I hang on to that and think about it all the time, it won't actually come true. But this is akin to, there's a story way back from Confucius who says, try to get the apple out of the vase. And the vase has a narrow opening. It's just really big enough for the apple to go in and out. And all the students take their turn putting their hands in, but they can't get the apple out because their hand around the apple is too big of a circumference to make it out of the mouth of the vase. Until one student says, I know what to do. And then they just simply take the jug, they tilt it, and then the apple falls right into their hand. So only by means of letting go do we actually get to, in turn, receive. So know that that's what we're working with here. To support this, we're going to link it into, you have an entire area in your brain, right around here somewhere. How's that for specific anatomy? I do have an anatomy degree and I love working with anatomical things, but this center isn't so specific to an anatomical location. This is your letting go consciousness center. We work with this a lot in Reveal and Release, so you'll learn about it more if you attend that in-person seminar. Okay? Now, moving through this, as we connect this hydration of your nervous system all the way up to that letting go consciousness center, we also need to connect to the metal element now. So the metal element in Chinese medicine is responsible for grieving, and it actually uses grief in a very healthy way. It uses the healthy form of grief to disperse, to let go, to surrender. When we're in that mode of metal element dispersion, releasing, letting go, that in turn allows us to be able to let go without it feeling personal, without it feeling so, painful. I often think of grief as the waves are crashing against the rocky shores, and maybe it's like a rocky cliff even that it's just crashing against, almost like when we see those images of lighthouses and the water just splashing up at them. And when we're in the intensity of the initial grief stages, those waves are violent and it feels like we're getting dragged under and we're never going to come back up again and nobody can relate to it and we're all alone. And then over time, the waves die down and we learn how to swim a little bit easier in those waters. And then the waves turn into just gentle, loving, remembering laps onto the shores. And we can hang out there with an easier experience of it all. It's still a form of grief. I don't know that it's fully possible to entirely let go of all the pain and all the suffering all at once. Wouldn't that be lovely if it could happen that way? But think of this as a nudge in the direction to help those water waves die down just a little bit. It's sometimes hard when we're in the intensity of it to let metal element do its thing because it feels personal. So the metal element is going to quiet the waves down because it's going to help it make it feel less personal. That doesn't mean you're forgetting. It doesn't mean that you're going to not remember what you need to, okay, from that person. Instead, it'll allow you to celebrate their love, celebrate what you remember most about that person. I actively take this on whenever I lose somebody that I love. I think of like one specific quality that they have. I've shared this before when my cousin Lori passed on, and that was last May, I think, was the date on that. And the sassy side of her is one that I've always appreciated and loved. So I engaged my sassy, playful side a little bit more. It was just that nudge in a direction to carry that memory of them forward and have them live on through me. And perhaps one day when I pass on, everyone else will be able to celebrate and continue that legacy in that way. Okay? So as we bring the metal element in, it's helping to embrace the memory without it feeling so personal, being able to disperse that active charge. Okay? And then we're going to link this all, we're going to connect it all into the heart. The heart is the neutralizer, the heart is the harmonizer, it's energy field. There's something so special about the heart. It's huge. It's 60 to 100 times bigger than anything else in the body-mind for electromagnetic fields from the physics perspective. It's measured up to 17 feet away from the human body, if not further. My personal theory is that it goes to infinity. Now, have you ever heard of anybody getting heart cancer? It can happen. It's just extremely, extremely rare. It's like looking for a unicorn versus a horse or a zebra even. So know that when we're linking to the heart, you're connecting to all that yumminess of all things heart chakra, heart brain. In Chinese medicine, we call this center the Shen, the center of spirits, the center of who you are beyond all of your labels. Okay. So as you breathe here, tapping this all in to help this all work and harmonize and neutralize. Again, you're welcome to join me on the physical tapping, but not required. Your main focus for this is just simply breathing, giving a few slow, deep inhales and exhales. I see a couple of breath workers on the call too. If you know how to connect your breath, by all means, feel free to do that as we're working and tapping out. Breathing here. give that another slow, deep breath. Jenna says, huge gurgles. If you're getting gurgles, and she gave it a thumbs up because she knows, or she gave it a smiley face, pardon me. And that's always a good thing because it means that something is processing and shifting through the intestines. All right, love bugs. Moving on to our next piece now. Give that actually one more slow, deep breath. We'll let that really integrate well for you. And for the next piece, we actually need to head to the kidney meridian. The kidney meridian processes all of our fear, it processes all of our ancestral stuff, and it also processes all of our yin, our feminine energy, our vitality. Not all of our feminine, all of our yin, there's other organs that share that role, but the kidneys provide the most core yin, which think of that as saying core nourishment. Sometimes when we're in a state of loss or grieving, we end up getting our stores depleted. So think of this as helping to connect to the very core nourishment, the nourishment that has to feed the very essential pieces of you. In Chinese medicine, they divide things up into yin and yang, or feminine and masculine. And the yin organs, the yin portion of you, is the deep centers of nourishment. The kidneys happen to be one of them. The heart, which we've already worked with, is another. There's others too. When we work with the kidney meridian in this way, we're going to connect it all the way up to the ears, which help to process the kidneys. And what we're doing is processing those thoughts of beating yourself up. So you know this voice, you know that inner critic, you know that inner doubter. Its voice can get real loud, especially when it comes to the topics of love and loss. Why aren't you in a relationship? What's wrong with you? You just need to love yourself more. Who's beat themselves up with that shit? FYI, I tend to swear a lot when I work, especially when I'm doing this kind of work. If I filter anything, it filters also the other truth that I'm speaking. So it just doesn't work. I've tried. I actually took it on for several months. Everything got stifled. It didn't help transformation for me on my style of working. Okay? So all that shit that we used to beat ourselves up with around just love alone, we could write several novels on, dictionary-sized novels, several of them. And then let's talk about loss. Shouldn't you be over that already? Why is that still bothering you? Get over yourself. They weren't even that close to you. It was just a job. What do you care? Okay. You're better now. Why is that still bothering you? You're in a new relationship. Why are you thinking about that old person? The list goes on. Now, I'm pulling on all the things that I see in my practice on a very, very regular basis. And all of those stories are all the ways that we continue to just stay stuck, all those thought patterns. And the kidneys, they typically will listen to all of those thoughts even stronger than anybody else, because the ears are the processing centers for the kidney meridian. So you can choose to use your kidney meridian and its energy in that form, or it's just an option, we can actually use the kidney meridian and its natural deep nourishment and vitality that it provides, especially all the way up to this particular brain. They say that this is the flower of the kidney meridians, or head brain, to have a different experience of life. Yeah? One that might be more useful, one that might be more helpful, one that might be more you, because you're not your thoughts. So there's no need to listen to them. Okay? As we release the self-judgment from this all, we're going to connect this. And no surprise, this is actually connecting to the spleen. And in bioenergetic work, in Chinese medicine, the spleen relates to our unconscious mind. So all the things that are happening, pardon me, on our subconscious level is also carrying on, because the spleen happens to govern our lymph system, which we worked with earlier. So I'm just bringing things together. I like to educate as I work. And if that doesn't make sense, it's okay. You can let that all go for now. And for those of you who are like, oh my gosh, I never thought about it that way, welcome to a new perspective on it all. Okay? Then we're going to work with this spleen energy, and we're actually running a cellular repair on it, which helps to restore cells back to their fullest potential of health. So we're restoring the impact of all of this stuff that we've highlighted so far on your subconscious, which runs the show, man. There is like 90% of your psyche is wrapped up in your subconscious. Only 10% of your psyche is conscious. So that actually is the source of all those experiences in life, all those different forms of belief systems that are running the show behind the scenes and creating external experiences that might be pleasant or might not be pleasant, either way. So we're working at that level. This is the only system that I know that actually consistently accesses the unconscious, the subconscious. I am going to consider those one and the same just for the purposes of this call. I know they're not the same. I know they're different. We can, grab a bottle of red wine later and dish on the philosophy and the differences between the two later. If you like, give me a call. Always up for that discussion. And when we're working now with this all, we're going to take everything that we've just worked with, including all that stuff, that cellular repair work on the spleen, and we're linking it to the diaphragm. Your diaphragm, the regular breathing diaphragm just below the rib cage, is your center for control and emotional processing. Your lymph doesn't move unless you're breathing. It just won't move. Yeah, that's like getting a toilet to flush without water. Yeah, lymph can move only when we're breathing and only when we're hydrated. Now, back in the day, the founder of Body Talk said he would not even touch anybody until they had had at least 3 sessions working on their breathing and their lymph. So this is why it's so important, and this is why I see it all the time in my practice, and it's likely why it's coming up for today's work as well. So we're going to tap this all in. As I work with the diaphragm, I'm going to be occasionally actually releasing its contents through to the intestines to help release that into the center for letting go. I know we talked about letting go up here. The large intestine does it in a more physically tangible form to help you let go of the stuff that you just don't need to be hanging on to anymore. Also, we need to make sure, though, that it's not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. So we're going to make sure that it's absorbing what it needs to and releasing anything else on out. Okay. All right, loves, you know the drill. Breathing here. Give this a nice slow, deep inhale and exhale. Before I started working in this session, I was saying hello to everybody that joined, and I apologize. I just have to do a blanket hello to all the new faces that are joining us in midstream of our work today in our session. Okay. All right, love bugs. Without further ado, we're going to head into the shoulders. This is where we often can carry some of that ancestral load, but also how it is we are relating to life. Do we feel like we're able to respond? Or do we feel like our responsibilities, instead of being responsible, are now a burden and they're weighing us down? Yeah. Often women will roll them in and men will actually just rigidify and go military, as they call it. So they'll be like, and like that shoulder just won't move. They've got them locked and loaded, and that's where they're going to stay. So for our purposes with the shoulders, just imagine now all the different responsibilities, all the different burdens that may be related to that topic of love and loss for you. Even if you don't know what they are, that's okay. You might have something very clearly coming to you. To help release all of that, we actually need to do an emotional release technique of all the different emotions that are here. Anytime there's a bunch of emotions, it usually shows up for me as a form of emotional soup, and I call it overwhelm for ease. And that can include anything from anger to fear to worry to grief to sadness to jealousy to guilt to shame. You get the idea. And then all of those emotions have all sorts of different variations that come off of them too. We're going to scoop them all up together because that's why emotional soup is here. There's little bits from everything. So it won't work effectively just to do an emotional release on anger and then fear and then grief. We have to get them all out together because that's how they got in the first place. So that overwhelm, some of this is yours from this lifetime. Some of this is actually not yours. It's just the things that you inherited down from the family lines. And that's also including the burden of how your family has belief systems around how love happens, how love should be, what love is, and how people should move through periods of loss in their life. So we're also tuning into all the ancestral, intergenerational garbage, all the stuff that has literally been weighing down on top of your shoulders in addition to what has already been happening in this lifetime alone. Okay? That is no small amount. As we do this, we're going to head into the muscles that run between the spine and the shoulder. We've got the rhomboids here, and there's other muscle fibers that are crisscrossing all over the place. Those are the big ones that we're working with, though. The rhomboids tend to most commonly release anger. This is in particular carrying resentments from the past. That's what we're going to be working with here. And then we're going to be working with the little teeny tiny muscles between the vertebrae that run all the way down the spine on either side. They're called the Erector Spinae. The Erector Spinae carry our basic character, which will show up in our personality. Character and personality are different, but there's enough of an overlap that for today's purposes, we can consider them just one and the same. Again, I know they're different, but we're not going to split hairs about that just at the moment. As we release this from the Erector Spinae muscles, oh, I didn't tell you what it is we're releasing yet. Let me backtrack just a moment to that. So in these Erector Spinae muscles, this is actually all the different frustrations around feeling like you can't fully express what it is you need in love, and as you move through periods of loss. Expression of yourself changes, never mind expression of your needs and how that can best serve you. So as we release this from the Erector Spinae, we're going all the way down to the very bottom of it, near the sacrum just above. And here there is a whopper amount of guilt and shame. This is like emotional release work on steroids, this part, it seems. And this is the shame and the guilt for having had your life that you've had. So think of this as the opportunity to give compassion to your history. We're actually going to link this all through to compassion centers, which happen to hang out on the upper chest. And in body talk lingo, we also think of these as our switching reflex points that help to cope or deal with stress. In brain gym, they call them brain gym buttons. In Chinese medicine, we call them kidney 27 points. There's lots of names for them. And the newest understanding I have is actually the one that we're working with, is that of these being compassion centers. It's a different body mapping system. It actually comes from Judith Kravitz in the breathwork lineage. Okay? And as we work with this compassion, I see more of it on the left. And accessing compassion also means accessing acceptance. And that might be a big pill. So just give that a moment, a slow, deep breath. And just for fun, just see, just check. Can you welcome in all the hurts? I know we did this at the beginning of the session, but there might be more here now. All the hurt that you're associating with the losses that you've identified at the beginning of the session. And just welcome it to be here. You don't need to do anything about it. You don't need to run away from it. You don't need to tap out its courtesies. You don't need to shove it down and dismiss it. You don't need to call a friend and tell them about it. You just need to sit with it. Be here. Allow it to be here. And if welcoming is too much of a stretch, then start with allowing. Another word for allowing is noticing, observing. You've heard me say many times before, if you've heard me do any work in this field, that the only thing required for change is observation. Yeah. So just observing it. If you want to go for gold, up that to welcoming it like you would an honored guest. Invite that hurt in. Sit down with it at the table. Serve it your favorite food. Serve it your favorite drink. Have a chat with it. Perhaps it's only been here trying to get your attention. Attention, FYI, translates into meaning no tension. When we provide our attention, it automatically shaves the layer off, if not releases completely the tension around that thing. If it feels like just 1% is leaving, that's perfect. Run with that. As you welcome it to be here, run around of permissions. And the permissions here are, I'm worthy. And as we anchor you in your worth, It allows for that hurt to be seen, to be acknowledged, and to be released. It seems counterintuitive that welcoming things would release them, yet it's the only way that I know to do it the most effective manner I've seen so far. I go into that a lot in core reveal and release as to why that is. Okay. Then we're going to take this and we're linking it through to your low back. Not surprising, our low back, along with the topic of worthiness, is coming up because our low back works with abundance. It often can carry issues that we have actually around receiving money as well here. But this could also be the abundance of relationships, or the abundance of that job that you lost, or the abundance of the loss of whatever it is you identified earlier, of that you're chewing on. Or perhaps it's inviting in the abundance of love, if that's your particular focus for today's work. Okay. When we work with the low back, we're actually heading into the Ming Men Center. In Chinese medicine, this is a massive gate where we get to take in environmental energy as long as it's open. If your Ming Men is closed or just open a little bit, then it don't work so well. And we end up feeling depleted. We end up feeling tired, exhausted, fatigued, and nothing seems to work very well in our lives. It's the most powerful center I know to help stuff calm down for people. Composed of 3 different acupuncture points. And whenever we are opening up to take in more chi, more vitality, that can address anything and everything from, as I was saying, feeling depleted all the way through to addictions, all the way through to where your life just seems to be going off course. Often those things happen because we don't have enough chi, we don't have enough vitality in this body-mind. So as we work with this, as we invite this chi in through the Ming Men, it's also opening up by means of releasing a small amount of fear that was placed there as a means of protection. However, it got so used to being there that it actually became just a habit. And now it's time to let that habit go. It's ready to open up. For some of you, that might mean that it's going to open up just a little bit because that's what feels safe and right, and we don't want to go too fast. And for some of you, that means a little bit more, and maybe a little bit more, and maybe a little bit more. We're going to keep the center opening up steadfastly at the rate that's most supportive for you. Okay? And we're going to do so by means of connecting it to your breath. Your breath will not allow you to go into anything that your body isn't ready for. It's the ultimate fail-safe. It's the ultimate priority sorting system. Okay? And as we work with this, connecting it to your inhale, your exhale, I'm going to invite you to be very conscious of your breath as we tap in this next piece. Again, if you're in breathwork training or you've had breathwork in your past, this is your opportunity to do that conscious connected breath. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, then you just leave that alone for now. If you really want to know what I'm talking about and you have no idea what it is, stay tuned. More coming down the road. I'm in the middle of breathwork facilitator school right now. Okay? You're giving this a nice slow deep breath. You'll also have the opportunity to learn about it when I teach my next reveal and release course. I've talked to my breathwork facilitator instructors on how to integrate that, and they've given me the thumbs up, the go ahead to incorporate that work into my reveal and release seminar, which is coming up Saskatoon, March 26th to March 31st. So you definitely don't want to miss that. It'll include traditional free fall work, along with some additional benefits around breathwork exploration and hatha centering, which makes all the difference in managing mental health. I'm going to talk about it just briefly right now because that's actually where we're going to next. The hatha, which is our next thing that we're focusing on in this work, lives just below the navel. So here's my belly button. Can't tell because of what I'm wearing. And just below that, we have the hatha. This is the connection point between your body and your soul. It's also the center where your self, when you were a babe, had to transition and all those blood vessels closed off so that you could be an independent, sustainable organism all on your own without getting fed by mom anymore. Okay? So the center holds a huge amount of energy. And when we can work with it, it actually tends to stabilize things like anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation. If you've got any of those going on, come see me, come book in. Man, oh man, do I have solutions for these things unlike anything I've ever seen before around Hatha centering. And again, we're going to talk about it in Reveal and Release 1 and 2, but that doesn't mean if you don't take that class that we can't work with it in a private session for you. So for this area, as you go there now, feel free to take your hand just below your navel and tune into it. What's here for you in this moment? You might notice a variety of things. You might never have paid attention to the center. Just notice what you notice and then stay with that as I'm working here. Okay. We actually need to run a cellular repair on this collection of blood vessels that hang out here, restoring those cells back to their fullest potential of health here. And we're actually within those blood vessels, as we're working the cellular repair, need to release adhesions. And I'm actually seeing it scattered throughout that region. For some of you, it's more just localized in one spot or the other spot. For some of you, there's a few that are interconnected here. So as I release the adhesions here, you can think of that as much like an internal scar tissue healing completely to allow for adequate circulation of all the healing resources. Because it's more open to receiving those, we're actually going to circulate all the healing resources here and now to this area, including blood that carries our passion, nerve our communication, lymph, drains toxins, gunk waste, low self-esteem, overthinking, overanalyzing, chi and vitality, consciousness and awareness, right down into the electrons, protons, solitons, neutrons. Also working with the sounds, the colors, the frequencies of all the chakras. And when we're working with this, we're also going to include endocannabinoids that lower inflammation, anxiety, depression. They help our immune and our nervous systems alike to heal. Okay? And as we're working with that, we're also going to balance endorphins, hormones, the overall yin and yang, or feminine and masculine that we mentioned earlier. And last but not least, we're going to run hydration here as well, helping those cells to absorb water, enjoy, and release any impurities. Okay? As we reconfigure this all, it's actually now highlighting the mitochondria that hang out in all the cells of your body. Nerve cells have the most, by 9,000 or so per cell. Other cells have anywhere from like 2,000 to 5,000 or so mitochondria in them. These give you your get up and go. They're the energy source. You can think of it as they convert. Basically, we're solar powered beings, whether we eat our food or meats or plant-based diets. The body mind will break that down and create ATP, or informal energy. Well, I don't know if informal is quite the right word, but the basic molecule of energy. And then it actually can use that to sustain you, to heal you on all levels, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So we need to work with the mitochondria here. And the image that I have of them right now is that they're just kind of sad. They're just kind of depressed, and kind of like when we get sad and depressed, we hang out on the couch and maybe watch movies or something like that. Yeah, so we actually need to, within the mitochondria, do an emotional release of sadness. And the sadness is around feeling disconnected. So we're actually running a permissions here that connection is safe, that you move forward into connection with ease, with freedom. Okay? And those are actually two different statements, because some of you might resonate more with one than the other. If you like them both, we're going to use both as need be. Okay? And for this area, it lives just underneath the navel, which is your center for connection. So the very first connection that we need to do for your hara is connected to your navel. The navel was the only connection that you had that kept you alive for 9.5 months or so in the womb. And this center doesn't energetically just give up that role after you're on the other side of the womb. It still plays that role. So this is allowing for that connection to happen, not just externally out there to other people, but also feeling connected internally, feeling connected to yourself, and having that connection be, and again, in a means that's appropriate, that's useful, that's helpful, that holds its fullest potential for you getting to express yourself fully and to heal fully. Okay? So again, you're welcome to take your hand to that area, the hara, just below the navel, or right on the navel itself if that's calling more to you. Or you might cover both like I am right now. We're going to tap this out by means of breathing again. Slow, deep inhales and exhales. Okay. And then we're going to integrate this all with one of the most powerful connections I know of. And in fact, it's the entire focus of reveal and release work, or free fall work, if you've done that. We're going to take a hand to that same area just below the navel, the hara, the lower dantian, the core energy, the sexual chakra, the sacral chakra is a little bit lower. But yeah, I think you get the idea. It has a lot of names. The other hand over heart. And we're going to link all things around hara and all things around heart. Okay. As we do that, we're going to link it up to the head, primarily around the temporal lobes, this temporalis muscle that lives here. Sometimes it can get tight. I can feel like there isn't space and we can't see opportunities and possibilities. By opening it up, it allows for us to see and take in new perspectives. It helps you to give yourself permission to also change direction, to go another way. So we're linking hara to heart to head, or temporalis muscle, but you know that doesn't start with H. So if you like alliteration, you can use the other ones. Giving this a nice few slow, deep inhales and exhales, taking your hands wherever feels right for you. Just give that a nice slow, deep inhale and exhale. All right, everybody. So this is the type of work that we will continually be exploring. We go into more depth and more focus in the 40 plus seminars that are up on vibranttransformation.com. And again, you have the opportunity to access all of those collectively simply by making one purchase. Everything Underneath the Sun is the name. And on that, there's lots of options, monthly, annual, lifetime. Check it out there. You also have the opportunity to work more in depth with me one-on-one in distance sessions or in-person sessions are both available. Everything is on sale right now, 25% off, and it's all there in memoriam to celebrate the life of my short-lived little one and the life that I now step into today as a woman without children, as a woman who runs her own business, as a woman who is happily in the relationship of her dreams, and as a woman who feels very healthy these days. And that hasn't always been the case. So I am very happy to be in this current state. Yeah. And I invite you to join me in whatever capacity feels right for you. There is still space in the in-person seminar. If anything I've said intrigues you about reveal and release and you have questions, feel free to ask. Okay. You can access core reveal and release anytime that you like. It's actually available online. And if you purchase everything Underneath the Sun, I throw that in for free. And you also get a ticket for 50% off reveal and release in person anytime for 2020. So these are all pretty sweet deals. Literally the cost of everything Underneath the Sun for a year would be the equivalent to paying for half of reveal and release 1 and 2 and half of core, or all of core reveal and release. So the bonuses are the equivalent of a year's worth of everything Underneath the Sun. It's a pretty fantastic deal. Check it all out. I won't be offering it at this price ever again. The next time I offer it, it will be more. This is the first time I'm launching it in this format. And I always love to give first-time people a little bit of extra love because this is something new that we're going to be exploring together. I'll also be looking into giving you the option to have a monthly check-in call with me. And we're going to continue to explore some other options as well. Also, anything new that I create will get shared with everything underneath the sun. So you'll also get to take an advantage of all the new things that are headed to vibrant transformation this year. Okay. All right, loves, thank you very, very much for taking the time. I never take it for granted when people are willingly spending their time with me in this manner. Thank you all for your comments. I hear you, Amy. Give me a call anytime that you like, or a Facebook message, whatever is easiest for you. You're welcome, Cassidy. You're welcome, Jenna. You're welcome, Robin. Thank you for your thank yous. I'm getting lots of thumbs up. Thank you, Gregory, Chuck. Hi, Robin. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share this knowledge with you and share my passion with you. Because really, my husband can only hear so much about it before he's just like, anything else? Can we just talk about something else? Kind of, you know, like me with sports. I'll happily listen to sports for a bit if he wants what he wants to talk about. But there's only so much patience I have to talk about sports. So I love getting to share and chat in this manner. And also, if this is something that you'd like to see more of, then drop a comment in there. I've played with over the years considering making something like this a monthly thing. So if that's something that you want and you want more of, then give me a heart, give me like a like, give me a comment, give me a share. Those are the ways that you'll get more of these. And who wants more free energy work? Yeah. So I thank you again. I'm going to sign off for now. And I look forward to sharing more with y'all down the road. Oh, I don't think I've mentioned this. The sale starts today, but it ends February 21st. So you actually have one whole week to take advantage of that. However, you're going to want to sign up by Monday for the bonuses, for everything underneath the sun. And there's only a certain amount of the sessions that are available for sale. And I typically run out of those every single year. So I invite you to jump in on those. Don't get caught and empty-handed with that all. Okay. All right, my loves. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope this is a slightly easier day for some of you, or an even more fantastic day for you all, depending upon where you may have started this session today. Okay. Oh, yes. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Courtney. Oh, I'm glad that you want to hear more and see more and have more. All right, my loves. Mwah. Officially saying bye.